and in our offense, to be honest with you, our goal is to create one-on-one matchups. And so eventually you're playing assignment football like you see in the triple option world. That's ultimately what we want to do. And if we can do that, now we've put our guys in the best situation to succeed. And then now, if we want our kids in the best situation to succeed, get in condensed formations, and I'll give them the entire field to work with.
614 Headsets is proud to be powered by Fundraising University of Ohio. Coaches, are you tired of slow, complicated, and outdated fundraising? Then it's time to level up with Fundraising University, the fastest, easiest, and most effective way to raise money for your high school football program. With Fundraising University, you'll run technology-driven fundraisers that are safe for your athletes and simple for your supporters. No hidden fees, no tipping models, just clean, honest fundraising that delivers results. Using our signature Blitz process, your team can launch a successful fundraiser in just 60 minutes. And get this, you'll receive your profit check within 1 to 2 days. No more waiting weeks or months. We offer it all, digital and hard copy discount cards and tickets, plus fan favorites like popcorn, coffee, beef sticks, and cookie dough. Every product ships straight to supporters' homes, no handling or deliveries for your athletes. And with our text-to-donate platform, your reach goes nationwide. And above all, safety. Every fundraiser is built to be safe and secure for your athletes and supporters because that's something you as a coach can't afford to overlook. Coaches, if you're ready to dream big and raise more and want a professional fundraising coach who brings energy, connection, and results, then contact Fundraising University and Brent Maxwell today. Let us take fundraising off your plate and put money back in your program. Visit fundraisingletteru.net or call Brent at 740-501-8946. Fundraising University. Dream big, raise more.
It's a good win. There's a lot of people. It's like Woodstock, except everybody's got their clothes on.
But eat a damn snack.
You're like my wife when you get in space. You just get lost.
Short steps are better than long steps. That's the only time in your life you're going to hear short is better than long.
Welcome back to 614 Headsets. This is episode 81, right? What do we compression and chaos with Coach Wille from Fairmont High School. But welcome everybody back, right? We are your show where we say strategy meets story. We hope to be your spot to find, football content that's both entertaining, educational. I'm really excited for tonight's guest. We got quite a different lineup and a little different topic. The last couple of weeks, we've had some things about us and some reflection, some celebration, but getting back to what we're about, right? Football content, helping coaches grow, celebrating other coaches and their story and their culture and their programs. And so this is a back to home and to kick off a big summer for us of a lot of great football content on a lot of great topics. Awesome day for us, Donnie. We just talked football all night, right? We just got done sitting down with our offensive line and running backs and tight ends, and we had a great session with them. But how's your week been so far, man?
It's been good. Got to see my little brother graduate last weekend from Miami. Get to see the littlest little brother graduate from Gahanna this Saturday, and then it's end of school for most people. So wife's out of school on Friday, and she's done for the year. And just looking forward, itching for those first couple of practices coming up here in about week and a half, 2 weeks.
I know. I was doing the prep, man. It's going to sneak up on us, putting three together like that. But it is an exciting time, and everybody's feeling the vibes. And that's why it's a perfect time right now to talk about the Max Effort Locker Rocker. Football coaches, listen up. You spend hours in the weight room and on the field pushing your athletes to be their absolute best. But are they fueling their bodies with the right supplements to maximize performance and recovery? Max Effort Muscle provides safe, trusted, and effective supplements designed specifically for athletes, trusted by Division I strength coaches and top college programs across the country. Their lineup includes everything your team needs to train harder, recover faster, and perform at their peak, from whey protein, amino recovery, creatine monohydrate, and NDR hydrate.
Listen, everybody knows football is won in the trenches. Don't let poor nutrition be the weak link in your program. Reach out to them today and get your team on Max Effort Muscle. They work with any team, any size, any budget. Visit maxeffortmuscle.com and email Tyler Treadway. His email is treadway@maxeffortmuscle.com to learn more about team pricing, partnerships, and get a custom package made for your team for as low as $250.
And it's me this week. I was scrolling through Twitter and I found something that really stuck out to me. I screenshot it because I knew my next locker rocker, this was it. I don't know who maybe the original person was that said it, but I think it was Kara Lawson, the head girls coach at Duke, is what I was keep seeing. I think maybe somebody copied it and put it up, but said, it will never get easier, handle hard better. And I think that was like, whoa, spoke to me, right? Because I feel like every year sometimes I'm saying some of these seasons are hard, man. That was the hardest season yet. How did I juggle being a dad, as you're going to find out, Donovan, as you let everybody know, right? That plate is going to keep filling up, or how you respond to things. And it shook me, right? And it was like, it's never going to get easier. I just got to handle it better. And I think that's me as a coach. I've tried to grow a lot. I didn't have to write "stay calm" at the top of any call sheets this year. And I, even as a father, go back sometimes, and it's like, I could have probably handled that situation a little bit better. I could have handled the hard better, handled the stress better. So I wanted to send that message to anybody else that might still be in the same boat. And I think it applies no matter what season of life you're in, or even what hat you're wearing, man. It's not going to get easier. Just handle the hard better.
I love it. It's like it's as corny as I thought it was in college with the Jocko video where it's a car breakdown. Good. Like, as funny as we thought that was, they'd play that every single year at our end of the year banquet, 5 years in a row, and we would all just laugh our asses off. But it's that identity of, you're never going to have, you don't always want to have easy moments in life. And it's like, what are you going to take from it? What are you going to take from it, handling some of that stuff better? And how's it going to translate to any aspect of your life? I love it. You rocked my locker.
Oh, I can't wait. And you know what? Ryan wasn't even here. He missed a good one, man. But we miss you, Ryan. But we hope everybody enjoys tonight's episode. Let's get it going. All right. We got a great guest joining us today. We've got Coach Brian Wille, the offensive coordinator for Fairmont High School in Minnesota. I'm excited about this because for us, this is our first guest from the state of Minnesota. We've had some guys from Texas and Tennessee and other places. So this is a first for the show. Coach has been on a lot of different shows lately, like the Board Drill, Coach Tatum. We've done some work together with Chief Pigskin. So I've been able to see a lot of his work. And after listening to him talk a couple of times, I knew he was a guy we had to get on our show at the quality of stuff he's put out. And I think he has some great stuff to talk about. So, Coach, thanks for taking some time to join us tonight. I'm excited to spend some time with you again. Why don't you just take a moment? We always like to let every guest tell their football life, their football journey. What's gotten you to where you're at now?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for the invitation to come in and join you guys. Love what you guys are doing. I hope I can represent the state of Minnesota the right way. We got a ton of great coaches here at the state of Minnesota, great coach association. So I hope I can do you guys justice and represent the whole state well. For me, my coaching journey has taken a variety of different ways. This will be my 16th year total in coaching. My first 3 years, I got started at my alma mater at Gustavus Adolphus College. I was a student coach for 2 years. And then I was a wide receivers coach for a season. And then after that, I was fortunate enough to get my first teaching job shortly after college. And then that was at Redwood Valley High School, where I served as a wide receiver coach. And then I also worked as a JV offensive coordinator and worked well with the offensive staff on the varsity there as well. And then I was lucky enough, about 3 years into that, I was starting to get a few opportunities to progress my teaching career elsewhere. And a district close to my hometown in Fairmont here opened up, and they had a job for both me and my wife. We were recently married, looking to start a family, and what better place to do it than back near home. And so when I got to Fairmont, it's a school with a ton of tradition in the game of football. A lot of great coaches have come before me with a lot of great players. And I was fortunate enough to come in at a time when they're hitting a little bit of a downward patch a little bit, and which provided an opportunity for me to get on staff and work my way up. I was a ninth grade coach all by myself. The first year I was there, I moved up to the junior varsity level the following year for one season. And then it just so happened that the offensive coordinator job opened my third year there. And I've been in that position ever since. I'm over about the last 8 years or so here. And so I've been super fortunate. I've coached a lot of really good players, coached with a lot of really great coaches. And at the end of the day, they're the reason why we have any success here. I just want to be a connector of people, servant to this town, this community who's embraced me and treated me great, my family great here. And hopefully one day we can deliver them something great, a state championship or something like that. But as of right now, we're just trying the best we can to put the best product on the field and make our community and our school proud.
I love it. I haven't got to hear so much of the background, so that's interesting to hear. Speaking of family, man, I got 2 kids here. If anybody hears anything or you see me run, I'm on dad duty for a little bit for a second. So I know you know what that's like, Coach. But Let's get to know Coach a little bit more in our Pick Six segment. The Pick Six segment is powered by Story Rival Sports Media. That's a period, Ryan. Since you're not here, we'll do it right. Championships, friendships, and life lessons are among the most meaningful parts of athletic competition. We are passionate about preserving them by offering the most unique highlight experience available. And Storied Rivals delivers your team's content with services designed to change the way you experience these unforgettable moments now for a lifetime. Storied Rivals now offers a complete team apparel and player shop customizable to your program. If you're interested in working with them, contact them by email at info@storyrivals.com. It's a great time to start thinking about setting up maybe your highlight stuff, or even start particular games, whole season, or even a package deal, right? I know you do some special things when you do some package deals and can use that team apparel and player shop to fundraise some of those things too. And they do a bunch of great stuff here. So, Coach, it's going to go back and forth. Donovan, you have the first question for Coach.
Yep. So, Coach, for those that haven't been to Minnesota, right, or maybe aren't too familiar with it, maybe they've only been in Minneapolis, what's the most underrated thing about Minnesota from your years of growing up there and living there?
The underrated, in my opinion, aspect of it is the amount of people in this state who really love like the game of basketball. And it seems crazy, but I got to love my Minnesota Timberwolves right now. Big game for us tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder, but we're the state of hockey. And so there's a lot of stigma out there that thinks that we're not a basketball state. And this state loves its basketball, and they produce a lot of great talent. There's a lot of great coaches here. Super underrated. I want to say the Lakes, but we're also known as the state of 10,000 lakes. So I don't know if that's necessarily underrated.
Fair enough.
I didn't know that. This was a question we had come in a little late last time from Mr. Costa. He likes following the show. I thought it was an interesting question, and get your take on it. What's your feelings about a 7-on-7? Are you a big fan of it? Do you have some pros, some cons? Just give me a general reflection of 7-on-7 in your book.
Yeah, I think it serves a purpose. I don't think it's a substitute for the game of football. I still think the game of football is won and lost on the line of scrimmage. I think it's a violent sport that involves a lot of physical contact, which does put a lot of risk and training and a lot of preparation on the front end and back end for a lot of players. And I know 7-on-7 though provides an alternative to that, especially during the off season. Expecting a group of young men to play a very violent and contact football year round is probably not very sane or safe for the body. And I think it serves a purpose. Like, I think it's very good for the off season in terms of something that can help your program get reps, but are they quality reps? That's really going to be dependent upon the program that you get in. 7-on-7 isn't huge in this area, to be honest with you. Like, we have some of it at the club level, but it's just not all that predominant. AU basketball is pretty huge around this area, so I assume similar type of arrangements probably are out there from AU basketball to 7-on-7 groups. But for me, I look at it from the standpoint of a quarterback. And if that quarterback's just playing the flavor of the week type of pass plays that are going to win against a coverage that doesn't have a pass rush, that's great. You want to rep at 7-on-7, but for me, I'd want to be using 7-on-7 to prepare my quarterback for the game of football. And to try to simulate that without a pass rush, without a line in front of it, again, take it with a grain of salt. It has value, it has place, but it's not a substitute for the game of football.
This has been a trend I've been hearing other guys talk about, and something I'm thinking as well, or at least chewing on. Do you guys do any 7-on-7 like in the game week, or is it hey, we don't do 7-on-7. We're a straight more of a team pass because we want that rush, we want that pocket? What's maybe your philosophy like in season?
We do a little bit of both. It depends on the week and the team. I prefer myself what I call like just half skelly if you want to, but basically trying to do either like a 2 wide receiver side versus 3 defenders, or 3 wide receivers versus 4 defenders, just trying to compartmentalize it a little bit better so that we're working on more package type of route concepts and a more focused read for our quarterback in terms of his read keys. Because very rarely are we actually reading the entire field unless we got very specific concepts that we are doing. So it doesn't do a lot of good for us if we're wasting half the field to run for love of the game routes. So for us, we get more reps by breaking out in like almost, we call it 3-on-2 or 4-on-3 type skelly.
Yeah, half field. We do half field. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then when we want to do the full field concept stuff, we'll do a portion of our skelly or 7-on-7 with the full field. But like in terms of how we break down, majority of the time we're doing half field.
Your alma mater is where I got that from, Coach. I listened to your old OC talk, and he said over there at Miami that they don't do any 7-on-7. Like, we do no 7-on-7. It's team pass or 11-on-11 stuff. So it's, and I'm hearing more people talk about it, so it's just interesting. I like to pick other people's brains about it.
Yes.
Coach, my second question for you, if you had only one run scheme that you could install and run, you got gap scheme, you got zone scheme. I'll even let you have the inside zone, outside zone with that, or like a man scheme. Which one are you going with and why?
Without a doubt, it's gap and it's going to be power. It's a program play that we build our hat around here at Fairmont. I just like it for the adaptability of the rules. For us, when we're talking gap rules, it's gap on linebacker backside. And I don't care how you want to line up and what bodies you want to get there. For our kids, it's now a rule set that they can follow and feel very confident in. I know you can do the same thing with zone schemes, but for us, I feel like zone requires a certain level of an athlete up front with our offensive line, and we can't really guarantee we're going to get that on a year-to-year basis here. And so for us, we want as much double teams as possible with as much simplicity as possible up front. Gap schemes give us that ability, and it's super malleable. Like we can pull one player, maybe we're going to pull a guard, we're going to pull a tackle, we're going to pull a center. I can pull two, I can pull three, and the rules don't change at all. And so we've dabbled in zone before, but like for what we love to do, we love to line up in 21 personnel with a fullback and a tight end and just play, for us, God's play, which is power.
What are you saying, Diamond, as the resident O-line expert of the show?
I'm picking gap scheme. I like the simplicity of it, but I think you have the counter, you've got power, you can do a lot of different tags to it. You can do plenty of different formations with it. I like when we got into some spread counter a little bit last year. In years previous, but we got into a little bit more last year, I think. So I'm with you all the way there.
I think it also like elicits too, when you go play action, the fact you're pulling a guard and play action, that creates such a reaction from the defense versus a zone fake kind of boot scheme, I think, anyway.
You have to be really good up front to have a play action off of a zone. Like you have to really know how to sell the run and trick those defenders.
Which is why teams who are really good at outside zone, though, like they have an edge with simplicity sometimes too, right? You get really good outside zone, and like what we were saying, a perfect world, you have the personnel where you can be really good at it, right? Like the NFL, right? They're really athletic, can really run, can really have the technique, and then you marry up like all the hard play action or even setting the edge and coming off. So devil's advocate, if you made me pick, even though I'm a massive gap scheme guy, we know I'm a gap scheme guy, if I could be perfect at one thing, I'd say the outside zone game in the like that Shanahan type thing almost. Coach, tell me something. I like this question. And I got this from the board drill guys when I was on their show. You were on it. What's something unique about your team or culture, your program, right? We don't know it. Listeners aren't familiar with it. What's maybe something you're proud of with your program or your culture?
When we look at and I'm sure it's not unique here, but it's just unique because of the experiences that I've had. I love the tradition and how connected this school is to the tradition. We're talking past and present. Like this town loves its football, and we've had great coaches come through here and continue to come through here. And just the amount of pride that this town takes in just showing up on a Friday night, whether we are a great team or whether we are a run-of-the-mill team, they're just so connected. We have speakers who have served in our program, come back for years, or haven't been back in years, will come and speak to our team and feel as connected as they ever left. Like Jerry Rossberg, who was a coach for the Denver Broncos, longtime special team coach for the Baltimore Ravens. He's a Fairmont alum, and he showed up at practice right before our first game this year. And the connections he had to even players on our team through family and whatnot, like it's still there and it's alive and it's well. And our coaching staff does a really good job of just fostering that. And just in the off season, whether it be a golf outing, whether it be in the season, bringing speakers back, just that culture isn't just a saying we put up on the wall. Like it's real in terms of the tradition that this town really loves and takes great pride in. And it's alive. And I hope it really continues on and even grows the further we go into it.
I love it. Coach, my last question before Coach Dow gets to his last question. JJ McCarthy, do you think he's going to work out, or do you think this is going to be a bad decision to let Sam Darnold walk this offseason?
Every time I'm asked that question, my quick response is, well, it has to. Like, it has to work out, because what other option do we have at this point? We've stacked the deck up where you've seen all these cap guys that have presented a variety of ways of team building, right? And it's always get that quarterback on a rookie contract, supplement it with established players. He wanted a better offensive line. We've invested a lot of resources in improving that offensive line. He's got a very adequate defense that's quite potentially a very dominant defense when they play with a certain type of scheme and aggressiveness, that all the tools there to support him in a good environment. I think KOC is as good as it comes when it comes to build and scheme. I'm not saying that as unbiased as possible. If you just watch his tape, the way he schemes open players, it's a pretty consistent thing. And so If JJ McCarthy is going to succeed, this would be the perfect environment for him to do. With that being said, they're going to need to rely on a strong run game early on because they have a very brutal schedule. The way their schedule sets up, sorry, Vikings fans, but if we can get 10 wins out of this season, that's a heck of a first season for JJ McCarthy. But the things that I love about him, that I look at quarterbacks that to me really give me some hope and belief. Number one, like the guy's a student of the game. Like you just hear all this talk about all the things he does to prepare himself, even when he knew he was not going to be the starter last year and he was done for the season. He was getting in work, getting mental reps, getting through the preparation. And a lot of credit goes to Sam Darnold for showing him those things that I really think he can, I think, have a really successful season. But at the same time, also, the guy's got to have to make some throws. And he wasn't asked to do that at Michigan a lot, which is what the one pause that I have. But in terms of just being a leader of men, it appears like he checks all the boxes. All the guys rave about him. He's an active guy in the community. I want him to succeed. I really do. But I'll be honest with you, if I had to put a percentage on it right now, I'd say there's probably a 75% chance that he succeeds and is better than league average. And I think without a doubt in my mind, letting Sam Darnold go was the right decision, just from a standpoint of being fair to Sam. Sam earned the right to go be a starter someplace else. He wasn't going to be a starter here. So you might as well let him go out and find that next opportunity for him, while at the same time, they mortgage the future for JJ McCarthy. It's time to see, is he the guy or is it time to move on?
I think he ends up working out. You guys did, you're talking about your defense. You did find a gem in the, I think he was undrafted. Ivan Pace Jr. was my teammate at Miami. And so I played with him for 2 years, and he turned it on in the NFL when it came time.
Yes, sir.
And at least he played in a very pro-style offense, too. Mm-hmm. So at least I think that helps him, the scheme of familiarity. I feel like towards the back half of that year, they were opening it up more for him. And I was watching some of the Rose Bowl All-22 where they were playing Alabama. Remember when they ran like a reverse flip to him, and somehow he just caught the ball and got it out
and then got leveled.
Hit. Yeah, I forgot about that play, and I was like, holy cow, not many people are getting that play out. So, Coach, my last question is, who has influenced you the most in your coaching career to this point?
I think to be fair to a couple people, one's been my cousin. His name's Andy Trado. He was an All-American player at Gustavus, spent some time in the indoor leagues, but he himself now is a teacher here and actually a superintendent here at Fairmont High School. And he was the OC who preceded me. And he showed the way for me to how you prepare, how you go about living a balanced life, coaching-wise and being a dad, also while being a professional, and just always was willing to ask the next question, the hard questions, and then always put the players first. And he had a tremendous amount of success. He easily could have let that inflate his ego. He never did. He remained humble and remained hungry, remained driven. It was always about the right things. And so I watched him do those things and said to myself, that's the kind of guy I want to be about. And the other person who's had a tremendous amount of impact, that it's interesting, I didn't see it when I was in the moment, but further and further I get away from it, I so much appreciate it, was my first head coach I worked under, Matt Lundeen at Redwood Valley. At times, I just felt like when I was there, he wasn't giving me enough opportunities. He wasn't promoting me fast enough. I could have just at the time, because of my immaturity, thought of all these different things of what he could be doing better. But what I realized is he was teaching me like with so many small little things, and those small things start adding up. And then all of a sudden you're in the middle of practice and all of a sudden the light bulb goes off. It's like, he taught me that. Like he taught me that scheme. He taught me that interaction with the player. He taught me that piece of adversity. He taught me that message, that culture building stuff. And every single day that I reflect back, it's like that guy did so much for my life, just making me start seeing the big picture and make me understand like how to be a good husband, be a good dad, be a good Christian, all those things that at the time I was probably taking granted for in my life. He showed me the way, and I'm greatly ever indebted to him for that.
That's awesome.
I love it. That's our Pick Six segment, sponsored by Storied Rivals. Let's hit this transition and get into this main topic here.
Stole my thunder, Coach Stout. That's okay. The main topic for tonight is stressing the defense, and what Coach is about to share with us is so stressful, the defense, that our only defensive coach is too scared to join for this episode. So
could even hop on
stuff. Yeah. Of course, our main topic for today is powered by First Down Playbook. First Down Playbook is the nation's leading playbook and play design software with over 35,000 professionally drawn, editable team plays with notes and full playbooks to start from. You'll be on your way to getting an edge over the competition. First Down Playbook could be your entire team management system with practice schedules, scripts, custom quarterback wristbands, and more. If you use the code HEADSETS25, you get 15% off what's already the most affordable, most efficient, and the highest quality option in today's game. It's not too late. It's May. It's an affordable enough option that if you're just looking, if you're thinking about changing over, thinking about doing something special, you can do it with First Down Playbook, even less than 3 months out from the beginning of the season for most of us. So, Coach, again, main idea, stressing the defense on offense through putting defenders in a bad position through various different schemes. Give us the just general overview. What is your team's identity on offense? What's your core philosophy? What's the reasoning behind that? If you kind of just give us that overview.
Yeah, the way in which we present our offense, I always tell people, differs from year to year, but the concepts and the philosophy should remain rather similar. For us, we're going to run the football and base a lot of our things off of the run game. I would say we actually stumbled upon this foundation about 3 years into my tenure here as an offensive coordinator, because when I came in, I was averaging an offensive line of about 150 to 160 pounds across the board. Running the football just wasn't an option. And so as a result of that, we did not invest enough in developing those younger levels. And I knew it was going to take some time. And I was fortunate enough to grow as a coach along the same time as our players and our staff and our scheme and our younger levels started to grow as well. And what we find is that in the state of Minnesota, come playoff time, when that wind starts to pick up in November and it gets cold, you got to be able to run the football. And we were also, my first couple of years, in a lot of shootouts where we were very aggressive and very dynamic passing the ball, but we'd run into a team that can run the ball and they could control the clock. And so for us, that started like sending off warning signals for us. And instead of me panicking, watching the 7-day forecast every single week, worrying about a 40-mile-an-hour wind gust and thinking, oh, how is that going to drastically change our game plan? We looked at investing in things that we knew could transfer and could play anywhere in rain, snow, you name it, because we could get all of that in a given 24 hours in Minnesota. So we started building things around the power run game. And the part of the reason for that is because of our personnel. It's also just because of like we've talked about earlier, the gap scheme base, and then just the transferability out of the rules. So for us, I mean, if you look at our run game, it's going to be a heavy gap scheme. We're a power counter and two versions of counter, your GH, your GT, and then some version of a duo scheme is what we've kind of married with it at the end here. Pass game wise, we're more air raid looking in terms of our concepts than anything, but we've been starting to evolve over time just because our defensive corners that we face every single year are very well developed. They are very good at schematically matching a lot of the stuff that we've developed. So we've had to evolve as well. And so as of late, we've been basing a little bit more stuff on some choice stuff, some option stuff in terms of option routes, choice routes, and then still basing a lot of stuff off of just base air raid principles. So if you had to in summary, summarize our offense, we're going to be a gap scheme run operation. We're going to be more of an air raid based pass concept, but then we're going to present it in multiple different ways. I love to motion. I love to shift. We've dabbled in tempo, haven't been great at it, but just presenting different looks to the defense that might appear similar to the 11 that are on defense and playing, and that's going to make them start to doubt what they are seeing and trusting of their habits.
Have you guys typically had, and if it's a trade secret going forward, you don't have to answer, but have you guys typically had more mobile quarterbacks, more pocket quarterbacks? Like, how's that interacted in terms of like you said, you have so many different variations of the gap scheme, but if you have a mobile quarterback, it probably makes life even easier for you in this weather and that climate that you're dealing with.
Yeah, I prefer a mobile quarterback, but we've had some quarterbacks that were not very mobile. And then we've also at times just had mobile quarterbacks, but no depth behind them. And so that makes us a little bit hesitant to run them as much as we'd like, but I would prefer to run the quarterback. That's kind of the way our offense is designed, just to equate numbers in that. And so I'd prefer a mobile quarterback, but by no means is the offense designed to have a mobile quarterback.
Coach, the 2 times we've talked, you talk a lot about condensed formations and one-word calls, which is why we decided to maybe tailor that to this. Talk to us about condensed formations here to start. How are you incorporating it? How are you using that to maybe stress the defense, maybe in both the run and the pass?
So what led us to condensed formations is what led everybody to condensed formations. When we first started coordinating as a scheme, we were a spread team, and spread meant simply that we're going 4 wide and stressing the defense horizontally from sideline to sideline. Defenses have adjusted to that. And the base personnel that we were starting to see for a lot of teams now was looking somewhere at a nickel or a dime look, and they were just daring us to run the ball. And the unfortunate part is when we get into our spread stuff, we could run the ball okay, but it just wasn't consistent enough for us. And the play action off it just wasn't great. And that's partially on my fault for not having a diverse enough scheme. But what we found is once we started condensing things, you just found space a different way. When you're spreading things out, you're taking space by formational alignment wide and maybe more vertical. When you get condensed, the space is still there, but now the way you get to it's a little bit different. And so for us, what that allowed us to do is still keep a lot of the same run schemes that we had when we run power, but now we can run it out of 10 personnel condensed and still equate the numbers game inside the box. What we were finding is that when we would go outside of the condensed formations, every time we were in 2x2 open, we're probably only going to run inside zone or we're going to run GT counter. Teams picked up on that and we weren't utilizing our personnel well. So if power was our best run play, which it usually was because that's the one we coached and spent the most time on, we were basically only using it the only 25% of the time or 40% of the time we'd get in a pro set with a tight end and a fullback. So once we started getting into condensed, we honestly started getting into condensed so I could take receivers and bring them in short motion and use them like a fullback and take our Y stand-up receiver and use him like a tight end without having to get out of our personnel. So what started as that then evolved into, okay, if we can do this in 10 personnel, what happened if we supercharged 21 personnel and made it 31 or 32? And what you find out is a lot of these teams nowadays, they don't know how to handle two fullbacks. They don't know how to handle two tight ends. And it's not to say that they can't figure it out, but 7 games out of the 8 schedule are going to be 10 personnel, 11 personnel teams. You're not going to see a lot of teams with 31 and 32. And if you do, you're going to have 3 or 4 days to prepare for it. So for us, what we believe is that if we can find different ways to keep things in the box and we can then just out execute teams and find one-on-one matchups inside the condensed space, that fits our personnel and our guys right now. And if that isn't happening, we're going to stress you now horizontally and find different one-on-one matchups through the pass game, through our one-word play sets.
Do you typically, when it comes to these condensed sets, is that typically something that you are like right from the jump, any off-season work that you get, or like the moment you kind of get in that summer install period, is that something that you are right from the jump putting forth to your players at this point? Or is this one, okay, we're going to go through our normal base offense and then maybe as the season gets going or as we get closer to training camp, then we'll start to throw it in there? Or is it right from the jump as soon as you get the opportunity?
We used to, I would say as of 5 years ago, we'd start with the base looks in terms of, traditional numbers, spacing, balanced spacing, and then we would add condensed once the season would get there. The last about 2 years, we've basically gone to a way in which if I call pro right with a tight end and a fullback, we'd have pro right wide, which would be like your extra wide splits like you'd see your Tennessees do. We're installing it the same day we're installing the formation pro. We'd also have one where it's kind of along the hashes. I call it mid. We use the tag mint. So it'd be pro right mint. So that would, again, find another way to distort space with not quite as wide, not quite as normal, but more so along the hashes. And then we have pro right tight. And so when you start doing that, now the kids start seeing, okay, here's what the space differential looks like and feels out of this formation. Then we'll go to open, you'll go to trips, do the exact same thing. And by doing that, then kids see the conceptual value of going to each different type of formation in terms of adjustment. So like, for example, what we'll do too is we'll run pro right power out of tight, out of mint, out of wide. And even if we're running into bad looks, we do it so the kids can see early on in camp, this is what we have to adjust when we run it out of this look. This is what we have to adjust out of this look. And then once they start seeing all the pieces of this is what it feels like tight, this is what it feels like mint, this is what it feels like wide, then we start adding shifts. So it's okay, we're going to start in wide, shift tight. And for them, there's not a lot of relearning. There's not a lot of how does this change? Because when we install it as a package.
So you're getting their buy-in by almost having them understand the different scenarios of what it's supposed to, or even, like you said, what it's not supposed to feel and look like. You're getting their buy-in fully early on so that they can be more comfortable and actually believe in that.
Correct.
Message. We call that scheme. Believe in that scheme.
Yeah, because I think too often when we install things, we install how it's supposed to be. How often is it actually how it's going to be? And so like, I want the kids to feel like what it feels like when it's wrong too. And I want them to do that in a very safe environment where I can coach them up. But this is why that's a tough technique. This is why we don't call this play into this look. And so then that also helps train our quarterback to when we start putting power into his hands, he's not making bad decisions either, because he knows, hey, back in fall camp, when we got into this, that's not a good look for us. And so, again, it helps not only build confidence in the scheme, but build an understanding in the scheme.
Coach, talk to me. Last thing with maybe the condensed sets. Let's have something else. But let's say somebody's listening and they don't run a lot of condensed sets. Like, where would you suggest they start? Or how could somebody start down this path of maybe working towards that more?
Yeah. The first thing I would say is find a run scheme that you believe in and build an attack, a series based off of however it is to best execute that run scheme. Let's use inside zone for an example. What's the formation that you need in order to run inside zone most effectively with your personnel? Start with a formation like that at normal depth. Now condense it and see, okay, what do I have to change? What do I have to adjust in order to make inside zone successful condensed wise? What you might find out is, you know what, inside zone's not really good for us in a condensed set. In my opinion, then it's okay, let's find another run scheme. And what you hopefully should get to is whatever run scheme is something you're going to hang your hat on and you feel confident in, that's the run scheme you want to ultimately run in condensed space, because the reality is simple. There are more bodies in now that box that you're going to have to win one-on-one matchups, and you're going to have to play a physical brand of football. You can't just rely on one guy missing a tackle and being out the back door for 6. You're going to have to be able to execute it at a tremendously high level. So I would say if you're going to start, what's that one run scheme that you know it's 4th and 2, I'm confident our guys can succeed in? Start there. And then once you've had that run scheme, start figuring out, okay, what are the ways you can stop this? That's the way I started with. So, okay, if I'm in pro right tight and I want to run power to the right or toward the tight end or away from it, what can a defense do to stop it? Once I figure out they stopped it, then I start figuring out, well, what are the answers to it? Okay, they can do this adjustment, stunt this way, spill this way. Do I have a counter to that? And then slowly what you'll start doing is you'll build a package. Hopefully you'll have a screen off of it. We try to have a play action pass, a screen, and then some sort of counter that stresses the opposite way. But for me, everything starts with what is your base run play? Can you effectively be able to execute it against whatever look you're going to get? Because I'll be honest, when you get in condensed sets, you're going to get some crazy stuff. And if we have some time here, I'll pull up some film and show you that, you know what, we had some really weird alignments to our condensed sets. And if our guys didn't have a base set of rules, I don't know how successful the condensed sets would be.
Love it, Coach. And the other thing that you say that you do, and this is where we spent some time, is talking about one-word calls. Talk to us about what is a one-word call for you? Maybe somebody that doesn't do it a lot, wants to listen to it and figure out what it is, how you're implementing it. Just take us down your one-word call menu.
So our one-word calls are twofold. Number one, we use them for tempo. So when we're talking 2-minute drill, if we need something to really, after a big play, something to an explosive play, and we want to continue to capitalize on that, we go to this one-word play menu. And the one-word play menu is one word that gives our guys the formation strength, any motions or shifts that go along with it, and then a base set of plays that we have with at least 3 options. Let's, Coach, okay if I share my screen just to give a visual here? It's easier for me to talk about this if I just talk through it here with just the look of it from our side of things. So here is just looking at a construction of our one-word play. I'm just going to show you a simple kind of just visual here. When we look at what's in a play call, this is one of our base ones that we put in last year. It's called Thor. So for us, this formation without any distortion is called trips right. So Thor starts with a T, and all of our one-word plays are superheroes or villains. And so for them, since Thor ends with the right, that's trips right. Okay. They also now know, okay, that's the formation. So what's the basis for everything else? Because again, now that we got the formation in and any kind of shift that goes with it, the next thing would become, what are the 3 options of the plays? So for us on Thor, you're going to have inside the box here a GT counter scheme away from the trip side. And that's the base call of it. So in this case, we're running GT counter to the left, our trips is to the right, and it's a wide trips. We tell our trips that are in a bunch to be outside the numbers, between the numbers and the sideline. So they're all the way out there running a now screen. And you can see on the screen here how we have it blocked up. You have your Y taking the most dangerous threat to the alley, and then you're wrapping around, which would be our H for the corner. And then to the boundary, we would have our X condensed as far as he really needs to be in relation to the quarterback, usually probably not exceeding the hash marks. And he's going to run what we call an out convert. And an out convert for us is a 5-yard speed out that converts to a fade route if we get anything inside 5 yards or tighter. And so what our quarterback does is when we call 4, he gets up to the line of scrimmage and he asks himself, which field do I want to play on? So you see these 3 different fields. You have the field to the absolute wide side of the field where the trips are, potentially. That's field A. You have the box itself, which is hash to hash or box to box, tackle to tackle. That's field B. Then field C would be to where our out convert is. And what we simply tell them to do is first, just count the numbers. If you have an equal amount of numbers in the box or less, run the football. If you have an equal number or less numbers out here towards the wide side of the field to the trips, throw the now screen. If you're one-on-one backside and we think our guy's better than theirs, throw the out convert. Now, the thing that has to happen then is what if the numbers are equal? What if all of a sudden we're equal numbers to the trip side and we're equal numbers in the box? That's when the quarterback then has to go through his process. Is it an equal amount of numbers? And what I say by that is, okay, if we're talking to the trip side and you're saying, well, I got 3 for 3 over there, is that 3 though looking different with a pressed corner on the outside, a safety over top, and a pressed corner on the inside? That 3 that I just drew for you on the screen is different than a soft 3 with a corner, a safety, and a backer who's trying to play both. So not all numbers are created equal. And so that's where you spend a lot of time with the game plan with the kids of figuring out with your quarterback, what does the numbers game actually look like? And the one thing we give our quarterback, like for example, here with the play 4, is the nice part about the run game is if you're ever -1 in the run game, you can always call a quarterback run and use the running back to equate the numbers in the box. So for us, our one-word play call, our system is all based off of a base run game for us, which is GT counter, a base screen for us, which is a now screen to the field, and then a base one-man beater, which for us is our out convert, which you can see here on the screen.
Where do you see a lot, like most of that success with one-word calls? Is it a certain style of game that's happening? Is it more of a middle of the season, everybody's going to see the same thing? This is where we're going to throw a lot of this in, where it's fast-paced tempo because we can get it off. We've been working on this. Like, what are some times you've seen success from some of this one-word play call scheme in general?
Yeah, to be fair, I've only been running it mostly for a year now, to be honest with you. I spent a lot of time last offseason learning it from guys like Hugh Freeze and anybody else online that I could find some sources from. And honestly, in 1 year of running it, the most success I had with it are in 2 situations. Number one, if I saw teams that love to blitz, this was one thing that slowed them down, because defensive coordinators who love to bring pressure, I'm going to get you in some form of a base look here that's going to stress you and put you into conflict. We have defensive coordinators that like to bring 7 and 6 consistently and play man on the outside. This now gives us answers for our quarterback of, if you're seeing 7, we should be in pretty good shape on one of our other 2 options. And the other thing that I didn't go into earlier here is that's just our base way to look at it. I eventually build in tags for our quarterback based on things defenses have showed us that can solve those problems for our quarterback. So for example, if he's getting a double edge blitz, he has a check that he can either signal out with a hand signal or a code word that alerts the offensive line and alerts one of the sides of, this is our beater versus this look. And that menu continues to grow throughout the year and through whatever your quarterback is comfortable with. But the most useful is these teams who especially love to blitz on like 3rd down, they get really exotic. Well, shoot, right after 2nd down, jump into a one-word play. You're going to get a pretty base look, or you're going to get an emotional response. And if your kids feel super confident in executing this play, you'll take advantage of that emotional response. The second time that I see most effectiveness on it for us, 2-minute drill or also 4-minute drill, because you can sit in this and don't have to go fast. You can sit there and just do some check with me's, but you're going to keep them in a base look, not going to let them personnel in and out of certain things. And maybe that base look is going to help you in a 4-minute drill continue to move the chains with safe, efficient throws and runs that your players are super confident in. 2-minute drill, we don't have to practice 2-minute drill. We don't have a set of wristbands like we used to try to have to figure out the 4 or 5 times throughout a year we use a 2-minute drill. We just hop to our one play menu, and we have a one-word play for every personnel group that we have. So for example, if it's 10, 11, 12, 31, 32, there's a one-word play call for every single one of them that we can jump into at a moment's notice. Because if we hit a big explosive, another great time is to throw a one-word play. So that way the defense can't sub. The defensive coordinator, again, is on their heels a little bit. And our players don't have to think. They're going through plays that they rep over and over every single day.
Yeah, I like it. I spent a little bit of time with us being an up-tempo team a lot, most years. We haven't done a lot with that, but in college, we did some of that on third down, that hopping into a quick up-tempo call, like to try to catch them off guard before they could dial up something they really want to that they've scouted. And speaking of Miami again, Coach, he talked about in the red zone, right? They hit a big play that got him down the red zone. That was, he said, their favorite thing to do is just jump right into something up-tempo, something fast. I think it was their zone split game, which is a lot of what he talked about, which calls zero facts or something, Coach, in college, something like that.
Sounds familiar.
He must have not been in the meeting that day. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe things have changed. They've got better guys up front. They can go a little more up tempo now. Coach, I got a little bit of time here. I want to see a couple condensed formation stuff, man. Let's see. You said you had a couple clips, couple video. I would love to see it. I'm in a gap scheme mood because I'm giving a talk on Duo this weekend. Now, I want to see just a couple clips here, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm just going to show you a couple of different things that we have, and then some of these clips have one-word plays into them. Others of them have just base designs too. So I'm going to go through a couple of them. Here's when we talked earlier, that 31, 32 personnel condensed formation stuff. This is one of our one-word plays. So you'll see here, he's got, in this case, a 5-yard speed out convert. In this case, he also has the option where if he thinks he can beat this defender one-on-one over top, he can run an out and up. And all he has to do is signal that to the quarterback. So that's one of the options he can check to. Or he can just say, hey, I'm not doing the 5-yard. I'm going straight to the fade. And what we have him do is communicate that through a hand signal. So what you can't see right now is his right hand is signaling something over here against his body to the quarterback who saw it pre-snap. So what he's done is he's communicated to these guys up front, I want max protection. So we're going to get 8-man protection and give him plenty of time to win the one-on-one matchup. If this wasn't that kind of a check, this one-word play would involve us running GT counter on the screen to the left. So you're running here GT with a kick here, a pull here. And then what our fullbacks and tight end would be doing, our tight end would be trying to seal the end man of the line of scrimmage. And we'd have two of our fullbacks going around this way in the version of a bash scheme. And what we'd ask our quarterback to do then in that case is he's just counting the box again. And which field do you want to play on? So you split it along the hashes here, count the numbers up. And if he sees numbers that are available here to the boundary, keep on the bash, he would keep it and he wouldn't say anything to anybody else. The only reason why he's making a call here, the offensive line, is just because he wants max protection so that this pass play can develop. So you can see here, he gets situated, ball gets snapped, and it's just a simple fade route. And that's it. Now, the reason this is open, though, and we have terrible camera work, so I apologize here. I promise you he catches it. The reason I bring this up, though, is you look at the box from this standpoint right here. We've been running these one-word plays throughout most of the game. You're eventually going to get a very balanced look from these condensed formations. And ultimately what the goal is, I think, of condensed formations and in our offense, to be honest with you, our goal is to create one-on-one matchups. And so we want these guys in the box, whether they be linebackers or outside backers, alley players, nickels, whoever, we want them to eventually abandon their keys. So if these linebackers are reading pull, we want them to eventually feel like if I just sell out to wherever the pull's at, I might not be right. And so eventually you're playing assignment football like you see in the triple option world. That's ultimately what we want to do. And if we can do that, now we've put our guys in the best situation to succeed. And then now, if we want our kids in the best situation to succeed, get in condensed formations, and I'll give them the entire field to work with. So that's just one example there. Another here formation that we're going to get into. So these are just a lot of those two fullback sets. So here's an example of two tight ends with offset stacked running backs over here to the right. And now we're just simply running a jet scheme that's with our bash stuff. So you can see here, we have our tight end gathering here. You have here and here. So this is like our 32 personnel. I shouldn't say 32. Excuse me. It's more of a 22 personnel. So again, having a one-word play for every single personnel grouping we have. This was one here that he has a tag where if he sees numbers here, he's got 1, 2 guys out here. So he says a tag to him over here. brings him in motion. Now the numbers game is equated in our box and we're even. So we feel pretty good about that. Whereas he didn't feel as good about everything else on the field. But otherwise, if we're running base, again, 5-yard speed out convert. But you can see here, one person he's got a tag to. Now he's running here. We're still running our bash scheme. And you can see because of the condensed formation, he now has all this space in which to run out and make yards off of. That jet sweep doesn't get this kind of a result if we're in a 2x2 normal set. So we're gonna get out of that stuff here. And now we're gonna go into like more of our wide stuff. So this here, one of the things we like to do, I apologize, the screen cut off here. We started in a condensed formation here and then shifted out of it twice. So we started in a tight trips to the left. The first shift got our X receiver out to here, and then a normal spacing of trips. This goes back to that day one teaching that when we go in trips, this is our base spacing right here in terms of their landmarks. But we simply could go from tight now back to normal, and then we just emptied out the back to make a 4 strong look here. And so that's one of the other things about condensed spaces is you're going to get guys now having to communicate once you go from their condensed check. If you now go and you split out of it, now you're going to have them go through some form of other checks they have to go into and can just run your base concepts out of it like we ran here, which is just this is just a basic snag concept with this guy right here running an occupy route for the safety. So you can just see that's just another layer of what you can do if you go from condensed to wide. Because I think to me, if you just live in condensed and if you just line up in condensed and don't do anything out of it like motion, the defense will eventually figure it out. They'll have a check to it. If you just line up in any kind of alignment, they'll have a check to it. So how do you jump in different formations that look similar to the defense that elicit different checks to get different responses? That's when you're now, I think, starting to have a really effective approach. So now let's go to a little bit more of a wide piece here. Or actually, excuse me, we're just going to go to more traditional condensed tight. So here's what I was talking about before. This is just simple 2x2 condensed. They're in still their version of cover 3. But now when we're motioning away, we're trying to see if we get any kind of adjustment here. This was early on in the game. We didn't get any adjustment. If I had my guy up in the booth seeing there's no adjustment to motion, our next coming back to this would tell you we're running some form of a jet sweep towards this direction. But this is the first time we ran it, and we're going to run boot back away from it. Just simple off of it. Like these are the things that you can do, bringing a receiver from the opposite side all the way across on a simple drag route behind the line of scrimmage to get easy yards. And you can't do this type of look when you're in a normal type of an alignment. By getting in a condensed set like you can see here at the beginning, having this receiver work across the formation is not going to take him very long if he has any kind of speed. And so for us, that's another reason why we line up in condensed formations is to help our play action game have receivers travel from one side of the formation to the other with very little adjustment from any one of our linemen. So here's another condensed formation that we have here, just stacking the fullbacks to the same side. So you can see here we have 2 fullbacks stacked this way with the third one over here. And then our tight end is right over here. Again, running very similar stuff in this case. The whole purpose of us getting this condensed formation is we're trying to create a one-on-one matchup with this guy right here on our best guy. So we're going to equate numbers out in the perimeter with here, and we're going to use tight end, tackle, and one of our fullbacks out here. And then the other fullback's going to help work a double team down to this linebacker. So we're now going to hopefully, if all things work out perfectly, catch this linebacker in a double team that's being carried vertically. If not, we like our matchup with number 8, our running back, and that linebacker on this given play. Now, could we get this exact same matchup if we went into empty and put him out here? Maybe, but I don't know if this middle linebacker's assignment's to go out that way. So if you know the player that you want to attack on defense is a middle linebacker and you don't have a ton of ways of getting that one-on-one matchup with your best player, who might be your running back, get into condensed sets, find ways to create a blocking scheme that leaves this guy, the one guy who might be able to scrape over a double team potentially, or a guy you might leave unblocked in a certain option scheme, and let your best player go against their player that you want to exploit. So you can see kind of how this plays out here a little bit. Things don't get necessarily as clean as we would have liked it to be based on the calls that were made here. You can see our fullback doesn't stay on his track. He decides to go outside And now we end up getting the matchup that we wanted. It still isn't the matchup in the certain angle that we wanted, but it's still our guy versus theirs. He ends up making a play and ends up resulting in a touchdown. So again, it doesn't always have to look pretty, but it's the matchup we wanted, and the condensed splits and the condensed formation gave us the formation we're looking for. 2 more here just for you. This would be our Thor that I was talking about earlier. So you can see here, we're all the way over here, right middle, or almost on the hash towards the right side of the field. And we got formation into the boundary. And if you just count the numbers out here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys to our 3. So he's off of this over here automatically. You look in the box, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If he wants to go and run that in the box, he certainly can with his 1 word. He would just alert this running back to insert. And so then we'd be 6 for 6. Or what he could do is just simply say, I got this corner over here's hips towards the sideline, and I have an outward breaking route. Those hips are going to come open, and he's got nobody over top to help defend. So what you can see here, you can see our quarterback goes behind his back to alert that, hey, I'm checking into a double move here with our wide receiver. He alerts the offensive line, and now he just runs a double move out and up. And the reason why the double move works is because we had just run that 1-word play 2 or 3 times before it, and we didn't change a darn thing and just saw if they could line up properly. And that's one of the things that you're allowed to do. Here's 2 weeks later. So now we're on the opposite hash. We're on the left hash. Here's the trips towards the field all the way over here. And they're 3 for 3. But again, we talked about not all numbers have to be equal. So you can see this guy right here. He's not making this play on our Z wide receiver if we flip it out to him. These 2 guys are 12 yards deep. And I understand it's towards the end of the half, and so they don't want to get beat. But at the same time, flip it out to this guy out here, get towards the sidelines with an escort, take as many yards as you possibly can, and get out of bounds. Perfect timing for your 2-minute drill. But also you can see over here, the box is still pretty light. We got 5 on 5, and we had this guy trying to play at depth, trying to rob the middle of the field and poach it. So you start seeing over here the corner, he's way off. So like we have a bunch of different opportunities here just because we aligned in a distorted formation. And for our guys, they're running base day 1 stuff. A now screen to the field, a GT counter in the box, and an out convert to the boundary. He chooses to hand it off, and again, works out just fine for us. Would have liked him to keep it tight, but knowing that he needs to get out of bounds and get the first down, he understood the situation and did. I'm going to show you one more here, and it's just what does our trips look like out of a tight formation. So again, another condensed set. So here's our trips. So that exact same 4 that we just did, that was trips wide for us. Now we condense it up, the exact same thing. And now we're going to run a version of a smash concept here with play action. And you're going to have almost like turn it into a flood when it's all said and done. But this corner route now that you can see from number 3, he has the entire width of the field to work into to allow our quarterback to feather that ball into that window. Whereas if it was normal splits, that window would have had to get out quicker. Our quarterback would have had to abandon his play action fake a little bit faster. This allows him to sit in a little bit, get to depth, and allow that receiver to get some form of separation between him and the defender. So all things considered, it allows us to get the looks that we were looking for in a variety of different ways. And you hear a lot on social media, but I certainly agree with it. Like simple plays, but multiple ways. And that's what we believe in. We're looking at 3-4 run schemes within our operation that have a variety of different tags to account for the different looks that we have. And when we look at our pass scheme, we probably got 3 or 4 base pass concepts, but we have adjustments to all of them that will handle the different coverages that we see. And then we just present it to you in a variety of different ways.
I love it. I think a lot of guys are going to get some interesting stuff out of it. It's a little bit different than a lot of different things we've had on here with we haven't done 1 words and the condensed sets, and I'm with it. I like it. I think you gave some good practical information about where to start, right? Take a base run, take a base quick game, or take a base scheme that you do really well and just think of ways you could evolve or layer it. So, Coach, I appreciate you coming on. We wish you luck in 2025. I'm excited to keep following you and all the good work you've been doing, but thanks for taking some time with us tonight.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me on. And if any coaches need anything and want to reach out to me, feel free to do so. I'll be happy to help out.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys check out the show, subscribe, follow, leave us a comment about some ideas of things you want to see in the future. We got a great summer lineup coming up. Make sure you check out the sponsors: Fundraising University, Storied Rivals, Max Effort, Muscle, and First Down Playbook. We got this wide array of people who we trust to stand behind, who are really committed into helping coaches and players and programs be their best. So we appreciate everybody and have a great night.